Welcome back. We're going to finish up our discussion on subcultures by looking at at subcultures that basically exist across every type of society. And these are the ones that are, I guess you could look at it from a social subcultures. So far, we have looked at regional subcultures, ethnic subcultures, and now we're going to look at social subcultures. And social subcultures basically can be broken down in many different ways. They can be done by gender, by sex roles, and also by generations. Now, one subculture is basically looking at the aspect of family and family decision making. Now, if we look inside families, we have large groups of people, not large, but we have groups of people that basically assume different roles inside the family. These rules pretty much follow the same logic as we do when we think about sales. For example, we have influencers, we have gatekeepers, users, deciders, and purchasers. I mean, think about, for example, when my daughter was young, I came home from work one day, and my wife basically informed me that our daughter had outgrown her tricycle. Now, who made the decision that my daughter was going to get a new bike? Well, pretty much it was kind of a joint decision between my wife and my daughter. My wife observed that our daughter was a little bit too big for the tricycle and basically gave the task to me to go, hey, go get her a bike. Now, of course, my daughter wanted an influence as to what bike she was going to get, so I took her down to the store. She was able to pick out the bike that she wanted. I brought it home, which basically I would have assumed the role of decider because I got the one that I actually made the purchase, and so I was the decider and the purchaser. But my daughter was the user, my wife was the gatekeeper, and the influencer. So everybody kind of had a different role in that. Companies have to understand that families and all members of families basically have some element of decision making and how it rolls into the type of products that are selected. For example, Toyota, when they were redesigning their Sienna minivans, they basically took a group of kids and basically walked them through what the minivan was going to look like. And kids came up with, I guess the biggest suggestion they came up with, more cup holders. They need more cup holders for the things that they want to store. So Toyota basically added, I think it was like another 3 cup holders into their minivan. So we have influencers, and we have all of these different factors from members of our family that are making decisions. Understanding them is part of the subculture because the needs of the children are very different from the needs of the family, or the parent, I guess you could say. Now we can look at some subcultures as basically free-flowing. Oftentimes, as we move through and progress in our life, we hit different life stages. And different life stages, you have groups of people that are kind of in the similar boat as you are, kind of alters and changes the type of product that you're going to buy. Life stage defines a person's major concerns, such as going through a divorce or taking care of an older parent, deciding to cohabitate with another person, buying a new home, and so forth. These life stages, they do present opportunities for marketers who can help people cope with these major concerns. For example, one of the things that we have found, that researchers have found, is that most furniture purchases are made by couples who have been married less than 3 years. And one of the things that kind of makes sense, guys, when we get married, our spouses, they want the furniture because the stuff that we have generally isn't worth a crap because, hell, we just didn't care at the time. So furniture is going to be a need. It's the same thing when you get a new house. I mean, you have all these different purchases. Well, the purchases that you have when you first get married or when you first buy your first house are very different for somebody that has been out and had a house before. You don't need all the same stuff again. So again, these are different classifications of segments, but it's also a kind of a subculture because they do have their own way of thinking and what matters to them. Now, gender is another form of subculture that we can look at. And men and women have very different attitudes and behaviors, due in part to genetics and socialization. We know that women are more communal-minded and men more self-expressive and goal-directed. And a recent study found that men need to be invited to touch a product, whereas women are more likely to pick it up without being prompted. Now, women influence 80% of consumer purchases, make 75% of new home decisions, and purchase 60% of all cars. But one of the things that's interesting is when we look at how men and women shop. Now, men, again, as we talked about, they need to be kind of invited to pick something up without being prompted. A clothing retailer basically looked at how men, just from observing, were very wary about picking up something that's put on a shelf because they didn't want to know, they couldn't fold it back up exactly why it was or how it was folded before, and they were hesitant to pick things up. So the retailer basically decided that they were going to fold things the way that men typically fold them, put it out on the shelf, and they noticed that their sales increased dramatically, and also the touch points were basically men were more likely to engage with the product, pick it up, and look at it just by seeing and observing how men reacted to shopping situations. Now, one of the best ways that I can think of looking at the family life cycle is looking at laundry detergent. Again, as college students, your favorite brand is probably what's on sale. But after you get a job, you're going to invest in certain wardrobe, which is going to be a sizable investment for many of you, depending on where you go to work. And you're going to want to take care of those clothes, so you probably start to buy a little bit better quality detergent. Then, when maybe you get married and you have children, you have to buy a different laundry detergent. You have to buy something like Dreft that is going to be gentle on the baby's skin. But then those children get older, they get a lot dirtier. You switch to something like Tide. Then they get really dirty, especially if they're boys, and you buy something like Era that gets the stain out. And the cycle basically will continue. Another way we can look at a subculture from a societal standpoint is generational. Now, each generation, or cohort, is profoundly influenced by the times in which they grow up. The movies, the music, politics, and other defining events of that period, in other words. And members share the same major cultural, political, and economic experiences and have very similar outlooks and values. Marketers often advertise to a cohort by using the icons and images prominent from their experiences. But they also try to develop products and services that uniquely meet the particular interests or needs of a generational target. So here are basically the general cohorts that are out there. Again, you have the millennials, you have the Gen X, you have the baby boomers, the silent generation, and you have those new ones that are just coming out today. So here are the five basic U.S. generational cohorts. You have the Gen Z, born in 1995 or earlier, or later, about 25% or 26% of the population. This is the first global generation. They prefer things to be very visual, and they prefer Instagram over Facebook. Millennials, on the other hand, a little bit smaller at 24.5%, they were raised in affluence. They're very tech savvy, and they perceive themselves to be immune from marketing, although research has shown that might not be the case anymore. Generation X, born in 1964 to 1978, about 15% of the population. Their parents relied on daycare. They accept diversity, primarily because in daycare they may have been around a lot of different people. They're very individualistic and very pragmatic as well. Now, baby boomers, they control about 3/4 of the wealth in the U.S. They seek the fountain of youth through doing a lot of hair coloring, hair replacement, hip replacement, all of these things because they can. They're very large buyers of home exercise equipment, and they're trying to stay active and young so that they continue to be able to enjoy their life. This is the third largest group. It used to be, of course, the largest, but through attrition and it's decreased over time. Now, finally, you have the silent generation. They lead vibrant lives. They spend money and time on their grandchildren. It's amazing to see the number of people in this age group that are spending a lot of money on motor homes, on things that they can do to enjoy their life, and also for their grandchildren. So again, each of these, they have different needs. Marketers must understand their needs and also be able to tap into what will entice and excite these generations.
This is 102. I need a vehicle check, license plate, California CHNG. Stay close. Driver, I need you to cut that engine and place those hands outside the window, now.
Hey, man, is there a problem?
Yeah, man, are we on America's favorite Getting Hassled by the Man show?
I actually don't know the name of the show. What is the name of this show, anyways? Does it have a name or...
They're back and off to the craziest desert festival in the world.
Flaming Paul, here we come!
Cheech. Chong.
Is it raining?
Cheech and Chong's Magic Brownie Adventure. Join them in their quest to deliver thousands of magic brownies to Flaming Pole.
Flaming Paul's wow, man.
Burning pole?
Flaming Paul.
Flaming pole?
You eat magic brownies?
Da-da-da, da-da-da, give me a bite!
Everybody gets naked?
I want to go, Mommy.
Ryan, you want to sit up here with Dad?
Yeah.
That's such an awesome van you got. What's in the back?
Brownies. Yeah, magic brownies.
Whoa! Hey, he's got our van!
That's okay, man. I got his throwing thing.
What?
He'll have to come back and get this.
A story of revenge, love,
Hey, was that the hippie?
I knew we'd run into him eventually.
America,
I don't know what the world is coming to.
robots,
Turn him off. He's choking me.
I don't know how, man.
chicks, angry guy, French-speaking dogs, action,
A bomb?
and brownies. Chewy, chocolatey brownies that are 90 calories and high in fiber.
What?
Fiber, because now that you're getting older, you need a new kind of magic from your brownie.
This is the weirdest movie ever, man.
Fiber One 90-calorie brownies. Taste the magic of fiber.
Get high on fiber. Wanna have a brownie, my magic brownie. Get rid of your frowny, turn them upside down.
So that last commercial from Magic Brownies, I guess you could say, again, it was appealing toward the older generation, from the boomers all the way to the pre-boomers in some regard, but mostly to the boomers. But one of the things to look at, for example, with segmentation, you can look at how it relates from a retention rate for auto insurers. Pre-boomers and boomers are very loyal, because one, the hassle, they just get comfortable with the company that they're using and continue on. Gen X, though, they're a little bit less, and even Gen Y is even less so, because all of the, understanding all the ins and outs when you have life altering events, getting married, hitting a certain age, graduating from college, you can get better rates from different auto insurers, and so they look around and they basically switch.
Go. Someone push this.
One more. Go.
Come on.
You all add out to your boy?
Yeah.
Can you get Rob? Come on.
Reach for your dream, bro.
Reach
Come on,
for
Robbie.
the stars.
So, why is it that some companies only want to insure women? Well, take a look here. Here's one reason why women live longer than men. We're not really that smart, guys. But just about turnabout being fair play.
Hello? I'd like to order french fries, a burger, and a milkshake. This is a library. I'd like to order french fries, a burger, and a milkshake.
All right, so that wraps up another week in our discussion on subcultures. This week we have, you still have a quiz to go. I hope that your groups are working diligently on your project. It's going to catch up with you very quickly because after spring break we have very few weeks left. So you might want to get on that and make sure that you're on track to finish that. So until next week, or actually in 2 weeks, I'll talk to you then. Enjoy your break.